I'm here to do like a quick review of the quality of the e-bike motors, and you know, I'm not an average user of one. Very fluffy, fat, however you want to call it. Um, and so when I go to look for hub motors, I want to find something um, that's very, very high quality. Another thing is uh, the stock kits are totally adequate for even a person with my size. You can run like 36 volts or 48 volts, and they'll put you along. I think at 36 volts is in the low 20 miles per hour. At 48 volts, you're up to like 27, 28. So it's more than adequate to get a person like me around. But I'm just a more hardcore user. So when I look for a good quality motor, I need all the components solid all the way through. Now, to do a comparison on the type of power that I run, the E-BikeKit controllers are 20, 25 amp controllers. I run 50, 60 amps. They're 36 volt 48 controllers that they sell. I run anywhere between 66 to 88 volts. So when we're talking about power levels, I run double to triple the power levels through their motors. And I mean, it's just for them to have a way, way, way over-engineered stock motor that works with their components totally fine. And like I say, even a person of my size and everything is able to work flawlessly. But for me to even push this to power levels that double, triple, quadruple, because I run about 4,000 to 5,000 watts of power through their motors, when their kits basically run anywhere between, I think, about 1,200 watts maximum, 1,400 watts maximum. So it's a big difference in power that I'm putting through these motors. So when I see a good quality motor, I get real excited, and that's one of the things that E-BikeKit offers. Is even for a guy of my size and the power levels I run, it's very, very solid, very, very reliable. This is my second motor from there. I've been to other vendors, and it's weird that I've come back to them, because I wouldn't say there are better motors out there. For the size and weight of this motor, it's a very, very solid, reliable motor that I could have spent, several $100s on just a motor alone, and have to buy other components. But their kit is such a great value, and the quality is so great that I've come back to them, just to know that I'm able to buy something and it's going to work right straight out the box the first time. That speaks a lot for the company. So you're speaking to somebody that has I have a lot of experience in e-bikes, so about 4.5 years. I've been through several motors, and for me to come back to a vendor twice and use their motor twice, it speaks a lot for the company. This video is basically going to point out several of the points, quality points that I've checked in the motor, and it'll go to show that you won't make a wrong decision in buying anything from this vendor. Okay, I'm making this video just to basically tell you why E-BikeKit motors are one of the better motor vendors that are out there right now. The motor quality that the motor possesses is just on a totally different level that I wouldn't say I've never seen before, but it ranks really, really high as far as the quality that's inside. One of the things is this new system or new kit that they have, where all the connections are just so simple to install together and everything. There's really no other vendor that's really making things so simple, so plug and play. And I do got to give them a thumbs up for that. For their stock kits, everything that's included is of the appropriate level, appropriate thickness, appropriate quality that that you need to operate the kit for many years, many thousands of miles and everything. I've just recently received the motor and looking at the quality of everything that's there. Of course, I do modifications to motors and everything. Their stock kit is way more than adequate for the average user, but I look at certain key qualities on the inside of the motor to determine its longevity, how much power it can handle, and everything. And I was very pleased at what I saw in there. The wire system that they have they have an ingenious one plug that incorporates the power, the phase wires and the hall wires into the same plug. And for a second I was like, most motors have two sets of wires coming out. There's the phase and hall wires. Well, all of this is wrapped up in one plug, and it kind of caught me off guard. I thought I was missing something, or I thought the motor was sensorless, but it's not. It's just the way the connector is made. So genius that I was really surprised at the ingenuity that went into the plug. The axle quality, the threads that are on the axle and the nuts and everything, those are very, very high quality, very clean cut. The tolerances and thicknesses are spot on. You're not going to get any shoddy quality. You're not going to strip any nuts or bolts or anything while installing this motor. There's motors that I've bought, from, overseas that, when you go to take them apart, half the screws are stripped and you can't get them out. You have to Dremel them off or find some way to take them out. I was able to remove all the screws perfectly. Not that you would have to for anything, but yeah, the screws came out perfectly. The disc brake screws came out perfectly. It's just, I really have nothing bad to say about this motor. The wires that are inside that plug are high quality wires. They're totally adequate for their stock system, but the good thing that I saw was all the wires that are in the harness are Teflon. And Teflon, if you don't know, it's a very, very high temperature plastic. That means it has a high melting point. So you can heat this material up to several hundred degrees and it won't melt or degrade. So a person like me of my size and the type of builds that I do, I put a lot of power into the motor. So the phase wires were Teflon, which is a plus. And the thing is, they continue this, like even from their earlier motors. The earlier motors had Teflon wires in them, and I'm glad they continue to use them, because I've seen some motors recently that I've bought to look at and test out, and they were just regular PVC wires that easily get nicked or cut, or if you try to run any insane amount of power through them, they'll melt on you. And what they'll do, they'll melt and fuse together or possibly short out, and my applications, I can't have that. So it's good to know that those wires are Teflon, and that they're adequate sized wires. But it's just the fact that they have the Teflon coating on it is very you get a thumbs up from me. So another thing that I wanted to point out was there's been several kits from other vendors like Golden Motor, Amp Bikes. There was High Tech Bikes had a motor recently that was just very, very horrible. But one of the things that I saw that I liked about this motor were the bearings. They were just, I wouldn't say they were ordinary bearings, but it's just when I disassemble the motor and I took the covers off, and I actually, put my finger, in the bearing where the axle goes through, and spun the bearing. The bearing was like super, super smooth, when normally with other vendors, I normally feel like a rough bearing, or you can feel where, like if you spun it, it'll stop in certain location where it kind of sticks or gets stuck. You want a really, really smooth bearing to reduce any type of power losses, or reduce any type of drag that you may have. And the bearings that were in this motor were, and both covers were totally, of high quality. They were very, very smooth. I spun the, cover on my hand like a basketball or a frisbee, and that thing did not want to stop. If I did that with any other motor, it would have did 1 or 2 revolutions and, stuck in one location wherever that bearing was catching. So, another good point is they use quality bearings in their product. Another thing that that I look at is just the way the wires are routed in the motor, how they're, fixed inside. Is there any potential for them to break loose, get caught up while it's turning or anything? And everything was very solid. Everything was tied down the way it's supposed to. All the wires were routed in such a fashion where, you know, it's very, very clean, and the windings of the motor were very, very tight. The color was good on them. The stator laminations inside were, what you expect. Everything looked clean and pristine. The magnets were nice and shiny, like they were brand new. I mean, there's nothing used or nothing secondhand or anything wrong with these motors as far as the quality goes. This is the second motor that I've had from them, and like I said, I've never failed to be impressed. The first series motors, I thought I had an ingenious new design and everything. I never did have any problems out of it, and just to get this new model with the newer connectors and all the improvements that they made for the whole system. They're really making a step forward in the right direction as far as making an e-bike installation really, really carefree, trouble-free. The ingenuity that went into it, there's a lot of development that goes into it. And one of the things that I've noticed is from the previous motors going forward, is they have a new ram style, which is they have eyeletted rams. And what this helps out with is with hub motor, sometimes the spokes are coming out of the nipples are coming out at extreme angles, and it's kind of hard for the spokes to line up in the nipple, and for you to get appropriate tension on them. But the eyeletted rim it almost acts like a ball joint, where it allows the instead of the nipple coming straight out and the spoke having to come in at an angle, the nipple is able to swivel around like on a ball and able to line up with the spoke better, and then they're slightly offset, so that kind of helps the spokes line up also. Is that little things like that go a long way. The rim was pretty good quality. Even the seam in the rim was like, I barely could find the seam in the rim to see, because like normally on cheap rims, you need to sand the seam down just so when you have like rim brakes, so they don't eat up the rim brakes. But this, I barely could find the seam on the rim. The rim is kind of narrow, which is a little bit narrow for my taste, but for average riders, average people, it's totally suitable. I mean, it's more than adequate just by them just upgrading the rim to where it's at now is a huge step forward in the quality, and it improves the reliability of the wheel. And there's like pretty much nothing more that I can say. The only thing I can say is you're not gonna waste any money buying from E-BikeKit. You're not gonna get a kit that you can't use, that you're gonna have to invest money into or replace or upgrade any components on it, because it's already high quality all the way through. I'm just totally ecstatic and totally impressed at what they're putting out. And I do wish them the best in their future dealings, and I do hope they have better innovations coming up for us in the future. And other for that, that's all I have to say for now. Thanks for watching.